Welcome back to Elite Fantasy Hoops with Mike Zakarian. Today we're going to be diving into some NBA sleepers. With Tyus Jones signing the vet min to go to Phoenix, we're pretty much done with the NBA offseason. So now we can start to take a look at the lay of the land and try to find some sweet, sweet value, whether you're over in the Underdog best ball streets, getting your home leagues ready, or even messing around with a little Sorare. And of course, if this is your first time here, do us a favor, smash the little subscribe button, hit the little notification bell so you know every time that sweet, sweet content is coming. All right, let's get started. The first one, we're going to go all the way from Australia to Chicago, and that's Josh Giddey, the new arrival Chicago Bull. I don't know if you guys have been watching the Olympics, but Josh Giddey has been absolutely dominant for Australia. And I know sometimes the FIBA rules a little bit different than the NBA rules. How much is that going to transfer? But I think what we're seeing from Josh Giddey in this Australian team is what we saw from him in OKC before OKC became this OKC. In the two games, we've seen him beat Spain and lose to Canada, but Giddey has been in complete control of the pace. The ball's been in his hand, and he's even knocked down the outside shot a couple of times. Now, if we head over to Underdog, we can see the list of players who are on average getting drafted ahead of Josh Giddey from the guard position. You see Fred VanVleet, Jalen Williams, Jamal Murray, Kyrie Irving, and James Harden. Now, I think by the time we get closer to the NBA start of the season, you're actually going to see Josh Giddey be ahead of not only Fred VanVleet, Jalen Williams, but maybe even Jamal Murray. I know for me personally, that's where I'm going to start taking Giddey. I do love Jamal Murray. He's one of my favorite players in the NBA, but he still doesn't look right. As you see him kind of limp around for Team Canada, hasn't been as impactful in this playoff run and now this international run. And I just really love the upside of Josh Giddey, who honestly is going to be on probably a 22-win team in the Chicago Bulls, but should be an absolute fantasy monster. And if you head over to Sorare, which is a little bit different than Underdog, over on Sorare, the way you're playing is you're collecting these cards, you buy the card, and then with that card, you get to enter those free tournaments with your lineups and win more Sorare cards or even some sweet, sweet cash. But you can see on the Sorare marketplace right now, Josh Giddey, his limited card is going for less than $10 right now, and his rare tier card is going for less than $50. Now, again, it's hard to project what the Chicago Bulls are going to do. Is Zach LaVine going to still be there? Is he going to even be allowed to play? Is Lonzo Ball going to be back? I know they have Kobe White and Ayo Dosunmu, but I do think Josh Giddey is going to have the ball in his hands most of the time and be controlling the offense. And it just feels like he's going to be close to averaging a triple-double this year in that like 18, 8, and 8 range. So we probably only have a couple more weeks because I think as more people tune into what's happening in the Olympics, the Josh Giddey hype might run up a bit. All right, next up is a deep, deep sleeper. And if we're talking Underdog, you're probably not drafting this guy until your very last pick. But the Denver Nuggets are kind of in a weird spot right now. They let Kentavious Caldwell-Pope go to the Orlando Magic, and the only two players they brought in to kind of replenish this roster is Dario Saric and Russell Westbrook. And sure, Dario Saric could also be considered a sleeper. Maybe he plays the backup five because they don't really want to use DeAndre Jordan, and Zeke Naji just has not worked out. But filling in for KCP, it's going to be fascinating to see how Michael Malone and the Denver Nuggets figure out their roster rotation. So yeah, Christian Braun probably gets first crack at the starting role, but we kind of know what we've got with Christian Braun. And a really good defender who occasionally can knock down some threes, but not really at high volume. We know they have Peyton Watson, who's an elite defender that's been coming off the bench, but kind of got played out of the rotation in the playoffs for the Denver Nuggets. And I'm not going to suggest to anyone to draft Russell Westbrook at this point, but there is one draft pick, not from this year, but from last year. And it only played a couple of games before getting injured, but returned to Summer League and looked great for a second straight Summer League campaign. And that's Julian Strawther. Now, an Underdog, Strawther is considered a guard. His ADP right now is at 190, right at the end of the draft. But I do think the Nuggets are going to have to work their magic to try to make this roster work. And I think Julian Strawther is absolutely going to have some cracks at it. And he can pile up the points. In Summer League this year, he averaged 28.5 points per game. And no, he's not going to do that at the NBA level. But I do think, especially as we get later into the regular season, maybe they want to make sure Jamal Murray's healthy and ready to go. Maybe they want to build along with these young guys so that they can actually rely on them in a little bit with the playoffs. I do think we'll see some Strawther get some burn. And so don't draft this guy thinking he's going to be out the gate playing 30 minutes or anything like that. But I do think when we get into those later stages in February and March, we might see some more Strawther. And as you can see, Strawther's kind of an afterthought over on Sorare. The only thing propping up those prices is his sweet, sweet rookie badges. So Julian Strawther's limited card, you can see right there, is $6, and his rare tier card is $43. And I can't stress enough, this is a later play. I don't think this is going to be a good October, November play. I would like to see the rotation play out a little bit before I would start using them in daily or redraft or anything like that. But in best ball, where we get to just draft once and then wait and see, I like taking some shots on Strawther late. All right, now we're going to Portland, and Portland is in such a weird spot because it seems like they have 45 centers on their roster with Klingon. They still got DeAndre Ayton at that max deal, and then Time Lord, who, time will tell if he's healthy and actually going to play. But rumors have been coming out this week that they are planning before the start of the season to move off of one or both of Anthony Simons and Jeremy Grant. Now, to me, Jeremy Grant is one of the more interesting ones. He's been linked to the Lakers, and I do think if he goes to a spot like LA, that he could still pile up some stats, and you don't have to worry about him just getting benched for long periods of time with a team that's actively trying to lose, like the Portland Trailblazers. So right now, Jeremy Grant is going 94th overall, and I think he's kind of an afterthought because no one knows what to do with Portland. Now, if he does get moved to a favorable situation before the start of the season, I think you're going to see that ADP jump up, 10 to 12 spots. So getting him now in that 94 range is kind of nice. And if we continue to go down that path, if this is true, what else is true? If Grant gets moved, it makes me very interested in Denny Avdia, who's already going at an average draft position of 63, right? So it's not like it's free, but when you look at some of the other wings down there, and we've talked about this in other videos when drafting for Underdog Best Ball, the wing position just has like a massive drop off. But if you look at Denny right now, going behind guys like Kuminga, Ingram, Butler, I'm not sure if he's going to jump up a full 10 spots, but it really makes me like Denny at this spot that he's at right now. And I think people are a little bit uncomfortable clicking him right now, and I really would like to get ahead of the curve on the Denny. And again, if we go over to Sorare, you can see Denny. We'll start with Denny before getting over to Jeremy Grant. Denny right now, you can get him for as cheap as $4.30 in his limited tier card, and his rare tier cards all the way down to 23. And then if we look at Jeremy Grant, similarly priced at $4.32 for his limited tier card and under $19 for his rare tier card. Now, maybe it's not Jeremy Grant that gets moved. Maybe it's Anthony Simons. Now, Simons is young enough that I don't necessarily think it needs to be a team that's trying to win right now that goes after him, but I do think whatever situation he gets moved to, Simons is a bucket getter. That's what he's going to do. And I kind of like the idea of him being on another team with those tanking minutes of Scoot Henderson and Shaedon Sharpe. So as you can see right now, Simons is going 77th overall, just ahead of guys like Darius Garland and Austin Reeves, and just behind guys like Zach LaVine, Derek White, Desmond Bane, Kobe White, and Cam Thomas. Now, I've talked about Simons before, so you already know that I'm a big fan of him, but I do think I would absolutely be taking Simons ahead of Zach LaVine, and honestly, probably Derek White. Right around that Desmond Bane area is where I think he should live. All right, so let's keep playing the game. If this is true, what else is true? So if Simons does get moved, this really does turn the keys right over to Scoot Henderson from the beginning of the season. And not only Scoot, but Shaedon Sharpe as well. Now, Scoot might already be kind of priced where he's supposed to be. He's going 96th overall. And when we look at the guards around him, it's Jordan Poole, Tyler Hero, Josh Hart, D'Angelo Russell. Then there's Devin Vassell, CJ McCollum, and Austin Reeves. Now, looking at this, if Simons gets moved, I do like Jordan Poole a lot this year, but I'm probably taking Scoot before Josh Hart, D'Lo, CJ McCollum, and honestly, even Austin Reeves as well. I think Austin Reeves is a little overpriced. I still do like Tyler Hero and Jordan Poole quite a bit, but again, it's probably those three guards would move up quite a bit for me. Now, Shaedon Sharpe might be where we're getting all of the value. You see him going at 134th overall, right next to guys like Karis LeVert, Dennis Schroeder, Jalen Suggs, and then right after dudes like Chris Paul, Malik Monk, Bogdan Bogdanovic, Jaden Ivey, Klay Thompson, Keontae George, Russell Westbrook. Now, looking at this, I'm taking Sharpe. If this happens, if Simons gets moved, I think I want Sharpe ahead of CP3, honestly, ahead of Jaden Ivey, ahead of Klay Thompson, ahead of Russell Westbrook, ahead of Dante DiVincenzo. I still love Keontae George upside, but he's still going to be in the mix with Jordan Clarkson and Colin Sexton to begin the season. But again, if Simons does get moved, the value on guys like Scoot and Sharpe are going to go through the roof. Now, if we head on over to Sorare, you see Anthony Simons' limited card as low as $5.35 and his rare tier card at $29. You look at Scoot, probably a little bit higher because he's coming off that rookie year. You can see his limited tier card right there at $14. His rare tier all the way up to $119. However, that will drop once some new cards come out from the new season. And last but not least, Shaedon Sharpe, who we might be able to get a deal on because he missed a lot of last season. You can see his limited cards right there for $7.50 and his rare tier card for $38. All right, and last but not least, and I normally don't include rookies in a lot of this because you never really know the situation the rookie's going to be in outside of guys like Victor Wembanyama, but the Miami Heat might have gotten a steal with Kel'el Ware this past season. Ware, who averaged 17 points and 8 rebounds in Summer League for the champion Miami Heat, is just under 7 feet. And again, when we talk about that wing depth on Underdog, the fact that he's basically a big man labeled as a wing might be an opportunity to get some late value. Now, we won't be able to check Sorare for Kel'el Ware because his cards won't come out until the season begins. But if we take a look at Underdog, his average draft position is 180. Now, the thing that intrigues me about Kel'el Ware is that he might actually just play the backup 5. The only person that contending with would be Thomas Bryant. So again, that's one of these like low risk, high reward shots that you can take at the end of the draft. Him and Strawther both fall into that category for sleepers. All right, so there you have it. That's my list of NBA sleepers heading into the new season. Let me know who I missed, who you're excited about. And as always, appreciate you guys watching. Make sure you hit that subscribe. We'll see you next time.